What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Keenan from KeenanRIVALS.com. Before we get into today's video, I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you guys are like hanging with your friends, eating turkey, hanging with your family, and just kind of like talking about 2018. You know, what happened this year? What goals did you hit? What goals did you miss? And ultimately like what you're most thankful for. And that's kind of what today's video is about. I was talking with some friends earlier and they were like, yo, what are some of the things that you feel like you accomplished this year? Like, what are you most thankful for? And of course I hit them with the cliche like friends, family. But one of the things that kind of caught my friends off guard was me mentioning my camera. He was like, yo, you've always been a photographer. Why are you thankful for your camera? Like, you've had a camera last year, you had a camera prior to that. And I didn't get too much into it with him because he's not like into the tech and things like that. But I'm like, this camera is different. I don't know if you guys know my background or like why I got into photography, but the first camera that I actually picked up was the Canon T3i. I didn't buy it because like my grandfather did, you know, photography, or because I thought I was good at it. I bought it because I was simply just trying to find myself. I desperately like wanted a hobby. I wanted to do something and wake up with purpose. I tried like so many different things, from like music to fashion, like anything you could think of. Like, I put a couple $100, you know, towards it to see if I liked it. And I did the same thing with photography. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna buy a camera for like $400. That's a huge investment. And I did that. And I really started to like what I was creating. You know, I don't know if the pictures were good at the time, but I liked that I felt a certain way. And yeah, throughout like that process, I started looking at different cameras and better lenses. And I'm like, yo, I'm never going to be able to get a lens that costs $1,000, or I'm never going to be able to get a camera that's $1,500. And yeah, I have one now. And I'm not saying that to say like in order to be a good photographer you have to spend $1,500 or you have to have a certain type of camera. But what that showed me was that like as a person I grew in terms of my creative ability. I grew in terms of my confidence. I think what really just makes this camera like above the rest to me is that it's the first camera that I purchased as a freelancer and not a street photographer. I bought this camera with the idea that I was gonna further invest in myself, do something that I didn't think that I was capable of. I got into photography just like hoping that I would find myself, and you know, 4 or 5 years into it, I'm like, yo, this is what I want to do, and not this is who I want to be, but this is who I am. With that being said, I do want to talk a little more about the Sony A7 III. I never really told you guys why I left Fujifilm, why I went back to Sony. So here's 5 reasons why I love this camera. Number 1 on the list is definitely going to be the camera's autofocus. Now, I'm not saying it to say that A7 III has like the best autofocus in the business, but it's definitely the best that I've owned out of a full frame camera. I have a very fast-paced style of shooting. I'm kind of always close, and yeah, it's pretty pinpoint. It really reminds me of like the A6000 or 6300. That was one of my favorite cameras like for street photography. So yeah, having a system that's full frame that I can use at professional events but also take on the streets and still get that same kind of accuracy really just helps me love this system. I won't be able to tell you how many focus points it has or anything of that nature. You guys can kind of do your own research for that, but I would say that it's accurate. Number 2 is probably going to be the burst mode. I know a lot of you guys hate when I shoot like that, especially with street photography, but man, this is just such a better system than its predecessor. With the A7 II, I want to say I would get like 6 frames per second. Again, not really too caught up on the actual number, but it was slow. You know, it was almost like this camera's medium speed. But with this one, I can shoot at high intensity and just kind of go crazy. Just being able to kind of hold that shutter button, capture the moment that I like, and maybe, you know, capture something afterwards. It's just an experience that I love. You know, I'm not going to compare it to film photography because I know how you guys can be. But sometimes like when I get home and I go through all the pictures, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. I didn't know that happened. And just being able to capture some things that my eyes don't see, it's just always a benefit. If you're not shooting on burst mode, then I don't know. If I haven't convinced you by now, then you're just doing it wrong. Number 3 is actually going to be the price point. I know to a lot of people, if you're only shooting street, this might seem like a very expensive camera. But again, for somebody like me who's going to be doing both street and some freelance work, it's just a really great value. In the past, I was always torn. Like, I never knew which camera to get. I either had to get a camera that was geared towards freelancing, or I had to get a camera that was geared towards street photography. And now that I can have them like in one, it just makes me so happy. You know, they call this camera, or you know, mirrorless cameras, like hybrid cameras, because they can do video, because they can do pictures. But for me, it's a hybrid camera because it allows me to do street and paid gigs. Thank you, Sony. Like, thank you. The 4th thing that I love about this camera is probably going to surprise a lot of you, and that's the menu. I love it. You know, when I first got it, I was a little skeptical It was hard to find things, but I love the fact that I can just kind of customize what I need. And again, I'm not saying other cameras can't do that. Maybe they can, I don't know. Once you kind of figure out your button layout and you utilize that custom page to put like the favorite things that you want to find in the menu, you don't really have to go through and like track everything down. Outside of silent shutter, things like ISO, I'm not really adjusting too many things on my camera. One thing that was a pain was formatting the SD card. But yeah, now it's just pretty simple. I'll give you guys some B-roll and kind of show you what I mean. But I love the menu. I love that everything's accessible. And Sony just put a lot of custom options there. And again, that might be on all cameras, but I actually utilize it on this one. And number 5, I saved the best for last, is the battery life. This is the first camera that I've ever owned where I just have one battery. Like, I still haven't bought any backups or upgrades, and it works perfect. I haven't ran into an issue where I was like, oh man, my battery is about to die. That's yet to happen to me. As a professional, obviously it's smart to have a couple backups, so I will be investing in those, but not for the purpose of it dying. More so like if I lose a battery or if I forget to charge it. If you were doing just street photography, I honestly don't think you would need a second battery. Like, that's just an extra, you know, 60 bucks you might save. So yeah, guys, those are the 5 things I love about this camera. Again, very, very thankful that I can own a camera of this magnitude, and I'm just happy to continue this photography journey. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know I've been promising a Sony video for a while, just going over why I made the switch, and yeah, these are definitely 5 reasons why I converted from the Fujifilm camera. Hopefully, Fujifilm people, you won't attack me or anything of that nature. I'm not saying the X-T3 is bad or the X-H1's trash. I'm just saying, 4-frame camera, good price point. In my opinion, you just can't beat it right now. That being said, hope you guys enjoy your holiday. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
All them nights I stayed up, trying to get my cake